Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be talking about Puck. I want to talk about Puck in depth because this has been one of the most fascinating heroes to look at as of late. Reason being is it's owning in DreamLeague Season 22. Like, this hero is destroying. It has like a 68% win rate. It's being picked like crazy. It's like the 5th most picked hero, and yet people still haven't seemed to figure it out. So I'd like to talk about some of the strengths of Puck and some of the weaknesses of Puck, because this hero is certainly not flawless. Alright, before we get into the main part of the video, I do want to let you guys know that I'm not only posting videos here on YouTube, I also frequently post videos on the website. If you don't know what I'm talking about, almost every single day I'm posting a new video to the GameLeap website. We're going to teach you guys in depth about how to get to the next level. So if you want to become absolutely broken, click the link down below and sign up. So what I'd say about Puck is this hero is not the best laner. It's not the worst laner because Illusory Orb is a pretty low cooldown at 11 seconds. Right, that really helps it because you can use 2 orbs in a wave, and that really is a big deal. On top of that, Phase Shift wins you an auto attack. By clicking Phase Shift when the enemy mid throws an auto at you, you dodge their auto, right? So you can essentially win auto attacks for free. However, the thing about Puck is this hero's base armor at 1 is terrible. Its movement speed at 290 is terrible. Its damage at level 3 is 58, right? And to be fair, Leshrac currently has 61 with an extra branch, so it's not like Leshrac has the best damage, but Puck's damage is not laughable, but not the best. It's certainly not the best. And so Puck certainly has laning stat issues. You can see in this early level, he nearly dies to Quinn, right here. I mean, it gets a bit close. He has to do some pretty good bottle charges. You could argue a waste of a bottle charge, right? He didn't get full value out of either of those bottle charges due to the fact that Quinn hit him. And so this hero has his problems, like he's getting zoned out, and he does end up losing this lane to Quinn. On top of that, Puck is not the best brawling hero in the early game. I like to skip ahead to about minute 7 here. Quinn starts just edicting the tower, and there's very little Yopaj can do about it, because at this point in the game, compared to some other mids, Puck's wave clear is not that good. Orb only does 225, which compared to like a Pango Swash is just not as good. Your W is just 60 damage. It's terrible. It does literally no damage. Coil is an okay spell, does 150 damage initial, which is alright, 200 if they snap it. So like a Laguna Blade does 500 damage, Coil does 350 if they snap it, right? And so this hero clearly has some major flaws in the early game, and that is always what I like to tell some of the people that I'm coaching on this hero. It's not a hero that just dumpsters the early game, right? It's not a lane dominator. Can you win the lane? Of course you can. Maybe you're just better. Maybe you're Yopaj, you're just better. But for the most part, that's not what Puck does. It tries to just get good CS and play for the mid game. Get some bottle refills from the boys, right? Just please refill my bottle. My hero is mediocre, please. And then you lose your mid tower because, your hero's not that good. Even here, I mean, I guess Quinn gets stampeded out, but you just often lack damage. Okay, so you might be saying then, why is Puck a mid hero, right? Why is Puck a mid hero if you're saying that this hero is really bad early on into the game? Well, the reason why is it's even worse in the side lanes. It's even worse in the side lanes because imagine you're playing a slow hero with bad armor in the side lanes. Like, you're just gonna get run over, and you're not gonna have a sustain item like Bottle in order to deal with the fact that your hero's trash, right? You just won't have, there's no bottle, there's no water runes in the side lane. So a hero like Puck just isn't sustainable enough in the side lane. It doesn't work. Like, yeah, you could obviously get away with it in some matchups, but for the most part, it just doesn't work. Imagine playing Puck into like Slardar Snapfire. You're just gonna get run down, and you could say, oh, I'll just orb defensively. Yeah, then you're gonna run out of mana and not be able to CS with orb. It's terrible. So this hero is essentially a carry from the mid. And that is why a lot of these pro teams, if they want Puck, you're going to see a Centaur or a Mars or a Primal Beast in the offlane, some hero to literally just run in and die in the team fights so that Puck can do what they want, right? The Puck player can do what they want. So that's really important to understand as well. Picking Puck with like some weaker side lane hero in the early game will often get you run over. It doesn't mean the game will end because Puck can then cut waves and such if the game is bad, but it will make things hard. Like in these early fights, you'll notice that Puck just kind of has to run away. Like, he doesn't really do any real damage to Ace. He barely can man up to Celery here. Like, I mean, he would die if he tried, where like a Pango could click Swash in this direction, maybe click Rolling Thunder and kind of mess with Celery a bit here. Definitely could fight Quinn a bit. you know, it's just, that's the vibe of Puck until you have Witchblade. You just can't really kill a lot of heroes. And honestly, I have a feeling that's why Gaming Gladiators decided to give up the Puck regardless of the hero's win rate. I think they gave up the hero because of the fact that they wanted to pick Leshrac. They had this Leshrac idea, and Alk. Because the enemy team has a Puck, Alk is very unlikely to be ganked. And Leshrac, because he's against Puck, can pretty freely take a lot of these tier 1s and play very fast. And so I do believe Puck has major issues. Like, I see this hero's win rate and I'm like, I think the main reason its win rate is good is if teams aren't clean enough, Puck will carry the mid to late game. Because this hero is easily one of the best mid to late game heroes in Dota right now. It's probably top 3, if not the best. Okay, something I do like from Yopaj here, so his game was really, really bad. 14-minute Witchblade is like pretty sad. This item, you want to try to get it around minute 11, but you know, they're not getting really rune control, they have no towers, so it kind of makes sense that the game is tough. But I like what he does. He's farming neutrals, he's eventually going to go push out the mid wave. I think his Rubik takes mid wave here, which is a little suspect. I don't really know exactly why Rubik's farming mid. But then he TP's top, and this is what you do on Puck. Puck is a response hero. It rarely is going to set up ganks due to the nature of, or the power level of the hero at this point in the game, but it is pretty good at just responding to dives due to the fact that Coil is it's a good punish spell, right? Coil is good at keeping people under the tier 2 or close to the tier 2 for other teammates to TP in. So I like what Yopaj does here. I think it's reasonable. It's good. It's kind of what you want to aim for on Puck. From there, he's going to push out the mid lane, look for the rune, and this is what you do. You essentially react to dives and then farm mid. Like, even here, he was like looking to fight, but I think it's just not going to happen. Puck is just too weak. So instead, he goes back to mid, he's going to clear the wave, and then farm in this direction, which once again, I like. I think as Puck, you're just trying to mostly push out mid and respond to dives. And if nothing happens, you should feel blessed. Okay, now when you have Witchblade, this was the biggest fight of the game for Shopify. This saved their early game. So it sends out an orb, pretty standard, almost gets gone on by the Centaur. Phase shift dodge, good. And then of course you're just gonna try to proc Witchblade. So he throws out the Witchblade onto the Centaur, and they find a good jump on the backline. I mean, this is just really well done from Shopify. Great egg, great arena. I mean, arena plus egg is such a classic combo, and you know they have good heroes to fight. They have a Rubik to fight, they have egg, they have Puck. But he's gonna continue to kite out. Like, I like how he never jaunts to some deep orb until he sees Quinn low. And this is what you want to do on Puck. You want to play the fight really, really patient. Stay on the outside. When you don't have blink, you mainly just go on the enemy that initiates, because you can't get to the backline. You might be like, oh, I can get to the backline speed. I have orb. I'm going to orb to the backline. Are you really going to orb to the backline? Are you really going to commit your mobility ability to the backline? Probably not. And so, yeah, your main goal is to do what he did here, which is just hit the Centaur, nuke the Centaur, and then when his teammates found a jump, like found an arena, okay, sure, I'll follow up in silence. But for the most part, you don't do anything crazy as Puck in these early fights. You play very standard, very safe, and let your initiators initiate, which is once again why Puck kind of needs to play with like a Mars, so Mars can carry or initiate these early fights. From there, it's back to farming, and he has 139 CS in minute 18, which is pretty good, right? You can see he's up there on the CS chart, and this is what Puck does. Puck is a very high CS, want to be high net worth hero, right? You want to be up here. He's actually higher net worth than Quinn. I mean, I guess Quinn has been like sort of roaming. And then the next thing about Puck that's really good now is that Kaya Sanj has been majorly buffed. There was a build going around recently where you go Blink, Witchblade, Maelstrom, Shard, but the problem with that build is you were very susceptible to dying, right? The reality of the Maelstrom Shard build that costs pretty similar to Kaya Sanj is you just have no health. On top of that, you have pretty limited mana with those items, right? Neither of them give you mana. And so the Kaya Sanj build that just recently got buffed because it's 100 gold cheaper, Sanj is buffed and Kaya is buffed, it's just perfect for Puck. It gives the hero a middle ground where sure, you're not going to do as much damage as the Maelstrom Shard Ags timing. However, you can actually play the mid-game fights and you can farm a ton because Kaya essentially gives infinite mana nowadays. Okay, so the main fight that Yopaj cooks this game is this upcoming Roche fight. So honestly, Gaming Gladiator should have won this game. I'm sure a lot of you guys saw this match. It was game 3, back and forth, and then like Quinn and Duraggio diebacked in like such a weird way. But yeah, I mean, Puck, he owned this fight. Yopaj owned this fight, and so he bought a BKB. I think the reason why he bought BKB, because usually at this point what you're buying is either Parasma, so you have a ton of magic amp, or you buy Octarine Core, so you can just kind of like nuke the heck out of people and be obnoxious, pretty high HP pool, you farm like crazy, right? I like that build too. You can buy an Ags, or you can just go Maelstrom. Now you have a bit of HP, you can go for Maelstrom Shard and go back to that angle. Maelstrom Shard, and then the last slot is an Ags, and that's very high DPS too. So There's a lot of angles you can go. He decides to go for the frontline build, and I think that's partially because they have like a Phoenix, they have Lifestealer bomb, right? So he can initiate, and if he has BKB, that can help the Lifestealer get the bomb off. And they have Muerta, who creates real problems for Puck, right? They have literally 5 stuns, and a Muerta W, the calling, is a big problem for Puck because it can hit you out of phase shift, and it can chain silence you in certain circumstances. So the BKB enables him to do what he's doing. It does limit his damage very significantly, but I think he's okay with that to enable the Lifestealer. So yeah, goes in with the BKB, gets RTC into the fight. Hits a solid orb, does quite a bit of damage to a few heroes. Obviously, they kind of heal it off, but yeah, gonna go to the backline, looks for Celery, decides not to chase. Okay, so he's gonna look back at the backline, just waiting, being patient, sees an isolated hero. And this is what Puck looks for. You wanna look for these isolated heroes that you can solo kill with your, 3.5 second silence and Witchblade. Unfortunately, Tofu has very good items. Pavis, Glimmer, very hard to kill him, so Puck couldn't kill him. Puck struggles against auras. He's very bad at killing heroes when there's like a Crimson and a Pipe. However, that's not always the end of the world for Puck because he can kind of kite out those auras, force the Crimson, force the Pipe, and live. So it's not the end of the world necessarily, but it can hurt Puck. Yeah, they find the Venge and just keeps poking and poking and poking this fight. Goes for the silence, trying to get the Alk to proc his concoction on himself. That sort of ends up happening, not because of the Puck silence, but just kiting these fights, right? Notice how his orb is rarely or never into the enemy team. It's always away, allowing him to then come back at a later date and go for another set of spells. And then when things are safe, when he's chilling, the Muerta W is a problem for Puck. Dodges another Centaur stun, finds the remaining orb onto the finishing orb onto the Alk, and then continues to wait, right? Patience, waits for his orb to come back up, finds the Witchblade hit onto the Centaur. Unfortunately, once again, Tofu's items creating real problems for the Puck. I can't stress enough how good Glimmer Pavis is against Puck. It just stops him from solo killing people. And so if you're playing Puck in your pubs, and inevitably the enemy supports have Aether Lens and a point booster because their item builds suck, just kill them every time because they're trash. Okay, now let's get into the final fight of the game. This is where Gaiman was in a position to win, 14k ahead, but Shopify clutches up. It was actually, I want to show you guys this crazy play from Theo Lecor, as well as just look at the Puck gameplay, but Puck continuing to farm it up. What else do you do on Puck? Farm, 500 CS, literally top CS. So if you think, oh, I'm going to play Puck and I'm going to roam, you will lose. You will lose so hard if you play this hero non-greedy. Like, I assure you, it's not good, not good. Just play Pango or Ember Tiny or something. Okay, so fight breaks out, goes on the first person, kills off the Venge. She's got Axe, tough. He's got the Aesthetics Cap. This item is broken on Puck. Just make sure that you can't get bursted. Really broken. I hate this item. It should be removed from Dota. Okay, then he's got his Ags. If you don't know what Puck Ags does, when you coil, it shoots out auto attacks at the people you coil based on your attack speed. That's why you want a Mjolnir and then you want a Rapier. It does like crazy damage. So in this fight, he's got his Ags. Things aren't looking too good. Arteezy dies, but he's got buyback. So he's playing patient, poking Tofu a bit, does a ton of damage just with like one Plasma hit. Plasma is crazy. It does such stupid damage. Oh, I'm going to quickly show you guys this Theo Lecor play because it was kind of an accident, but it was also intentional at the same time. So they're disengaging. Things are looking trash, right? Gets out. He was lifting the Mars into the base. He tried to lift him here, but he precasted it. So it lifted him here, but then he had the awareness to toss him at the Alk, channeling stun. I'm pretty sure they lose the game right here if the Ratio gets off this stun. But he throws the Mars backwards, and it stuns him. And then he dies because of this, right? It gives Arteezy time to buy back, lets the Puck get in, Puck hits a massive coil, and the Alk dies, and then he buys back. Like, it is so crazy. I watched it, I'm like, wow, that was crazy. Okay, so yeah, big thing here, when you have the Axe, you're just looking to coil multiple heroes. It's very simple. Once again, just have patience, look for the coil, because it's going to be a little hard to see, but like, the coil will just start shooting autos. You'll see it on the Lesh, right? So like, when this Lesh is standing in this, at some point, the autos will just rack up damage. Yeah, you can see they're gonna start to come out. And it doesn't stop. Like, even if you snap the coil, it keeps going. And so it probably did like half of Lesh's HP. And trust me, he's not even close to the max damage because he doesn't have Mjolnir, which makes a huge difference. And he doesn't have like Daedalus or Rapier, right? This build he's going is more of like the mixed damage build, which I think is better. The Glass Cannon build obviously has a stronger late game timing, but your mid game will suffer right? Your farming potential will suffer, and I just think it's rarely worth it. It's just too greedy. Right? But yeah, ends up cooking up the fight. I mean, your hero does some crazy damage in the late game. You're a right clicker, and it's hard for supports to stop you because you silence them, right? And so he gets used up here, but obviously the Muerto was silenced and she gets hot for cheese, but just bullying out the backline. Doraccio completely overextends here. This was a choke. Great Glimmer forced to save the Puck. Finds the backline. I mean, Puck late game is just such a menace. I mean, he's just tearing them apart slowly but surely. So good with the orbs. All of his orbs get him out, get him to safety. I mean, Tofu's almost clutching up here, but it's just not enough. And yeah, that's going to be all. They end up throwing them. Just crazy hero. Late game scaling a Puck is just ridiculous. And he's not even at his peak. He like buys a Deso to end the game, but I assure you guys, if you can get to Mjolnir Rapier, it is unfathomable what Puck can do. And then you can get a refresher. It's like, poof. This hero, minute 60, is nasty. And also at level 25, you get Dream Coil Pierce's debuff immunity. So like typically heroes will pop BKB and walk out of this Ags, but with this 25 talent, Ags is even more broken. Like they snap it and it just keeps shooting autos. Like these high damage autos. Just like this Venge is just getting cooked in the backline. It doesn't kill him once again. This Ags without Mjolnir is much worse because you need attack speed. Like you need an attack speed item. So this build is super unoptimized. I mean, he's obviously buying Deso to throw him. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Really fun making this video. I think this Puck here is kind of crazy. It is kind of crazy. It's bad early on though. So like, I think teams will try to continue to figure out ways to exploit it and this weakness. But until then, I mean, especially in these high pressure games where people choke, these tournament matches, the reliable scaling and the chaos of Puck is clearly proving to be dominant, at least in Season 22 of DreamLeague. So, all right, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
And that's all. But remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.